May 1901. The dawn of the 20th century cast a suffocating shadow over the Ottoman Empire. Western powers had mockingly labeled it the sick man of Europe. The empire was trapped in a financial stranglehold, crushed by decades of crippling loans owed to European banks. To understand the sheer reality of this crisis, one only has to look at the historical records of the Ottoman Public Debt Administration, an organization run entirely by European creditors who had essentially hijacked the empire's finances, siphoning off tax revenues right from the imperial treasury. The wolves of Europe were circling, waiting for the empire to bankrupt itself into oblivion. But sitting on the throne in the secluded halls of the Yıldız Palace was a man who refused to let his empire die. Sultan Abdul Hamid II was not a battlefield conqueror with a drawn sword. He was a grand master of geopolitical chess. Ruling an empire surrounded by enemies, he survived through brilliant high-wire diplomacy, playing rival empires against one another to keep the Ottoman state alive. It was into this atmosphere of intense financial desperation that a man named Theodor Herzl arrived in Istanbul. Herzl, a charismatic Austro-Hungarian journalist, was the visionary founder of the modern political Zionist movement. He looked at the bankrupt Ottoman Empire and saw an unprecedented opportunity. He knew the Sultan was drowning in European debt, so Herzl brought to the Yıldız Palace an offer that was, by all geopolitical logic of the era, impossible to refuse. The details of this audacious proposal are not a matter of myth. They are meticulously recorded by Herzl himself in the complete diaries of Theodor Herzl. As Herzl wrote, he proposed a staggering financial rescue package. In exchange for an imperial charter allowing the mass immigration and autonomous settlement of Jews in the region of Palestine, Herzl promised that wealthy European Jewish financiers would unite to buy out and entirely pay off the crippling Ottoman foreign
Gentlemen,
debt.
the terms are finalized.
It was the
Indeed,
exact
proceed with the
lifeline
signatures.
the
All is in
struggling
order.
empire needed to throw off the chains of the European bankers. For a lesser monarch, the temptation to trade a distant province for the survival of the imperial treasury would have been overwhelming. But Abdul Hamid II operated on a different frequency. He saw past the immediate gold and looked decades into the future, recognizing the existential threat that a sovereign political entity in the Holy Land would pose. The Sultan's legendary response is verified by Herzl's own frustrated diary entry dated June 19, 1996, when Herzl first sent his intermediaries to the palace. The Sultan did not negotiate, he did not ask for a higher price. He shut the door completely with a statement of absolute, unshakable conviction. "I cannot sell even a foot of land, for it does not belong to me but to my people. My people have won this empire by fighting for it with their blood and have fertilized it with their blood. Let the Jews save their billions. When my empire is partitioned, they may get Palestine for nothing, but only our corpse will be divided. I will not agree to vivisection." When Herzl finally met Abdul Hamid II face-to-face in May 1901, the Sultan remained a polite but immovable wall. He offered refuge to Jews fleeing persecution, as the Ottomans historically had, but firmly refused any concentrated political settlement in Palestine. The Sultan did not stop at a dramatic refusal. He was a pragmatist who understood that diplomacy required enforcement. Anticipating that the Zionist movement would attempt to bypass him, Abdul Hamid II implemented immediate, strict administrative policies. If you examine the Ottoman state archives from this era, you will find the implementation of the red Tezkere, or red card system. When foreign Jewish pilgrims arrived in Palestine, they were issued a red slip of paper granting them a temporary stay, usually 3 months, after which they were legally required by imperial police to leave. Furthermore, the Sultan's government issued strict decrees heavily restricting the sale of state and private land in Palestine to foreign buyers, establishing a complex legal firewall to prevent a demographic shift. Herzl left Istanbul empty-handed. He He wrote in his diary that the Sultan's words, while defeating his life's mission, were spoken with a tragic beauty. Sultan Abdul Hamid II was a ruler carrying the agonizing weight of a fracturing world. While his empire was slowly being dismantled at the edges by war and debt, he drew an absolute line in the sands of the Levant. He delayed the organized political settlement of Palestine by decades, sacrificing the financial salvation of his own treasury to protect the sacred lands of the Ummah. In the treacherous halls of modern diplomacy, where everything and everyone had a price, the Yıldız Palace proved to be the one place
This is a grave
where the
moment
land
for our
was
nation.
not for
The
sale.
decision